Rules in criminal procedure. Rules 110, prosecution of offense. Complaint or information shall be in writing in the name of the people of the Philippines against all persons to be appear to be responsible of an offense. Complaint is a writing statement charging a person with an offense sub- subscribed by the offended party, any peace officer or other public officer. Information and information is an accusation in writing charging of a person with an offense subscribed by the prosecutor and filed to the court. So who must prosecute criminal action? So according to the Rule 110, Section 5, who must prosecute criminal action? All criminal actions commenced by the by a complaint or information shall be prosecuted under the direction and uh, control of the prosecutor. Sufficiency sufficiency of complaint or information. So the complaint or information is sufficient if it, if it states the name of the accused. So that so to if the name of the accused is stated, so that's the time that the information or the complaint is sufficient. And also if it states the designation of the offense given by the institute, and also the act or omission complaint of the instituting the offense, and also if it states the name of the offended party. So, and also in the complaint or information, um, it's also it should be or must be state the name of the accused. So according to the Rule 110, Section 7, name of the accused, the complaint or information must state the name of the accused, of the name or surname of the accused, or any appellation or nickname by which to be his known, or if the so if the suspect is cannot be determined, or what is his name. So in the complaint or information, he can put there an unknown for his name. So uh, and also in the complaint or information, it is not necessary to state in the complaint or information the 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 precise date of the offense means was when was the offense was committed, except when it is material ingredients of the offense. So in in making or of a complaint or information, it is not necessary to put the exact date of the commission of the offense. So That's the Rule 1110. Rule 111, Prosecution of Civil Action. Institution of criminal and civil action. When a criminal action is instituted the civil action for the recovery of the civil liability rising from the offense charged shall be deemed instituted the with the criminal action unless the offended party waives the civil action or reserve the right to institute is separately. So that means that the civil action and criminal action and civil action can be separate each other. So, and also the general rule of this rule is when there is a criminal action, automatic there is a civil action. So when separate civil action is suspended, so according to this rule, if there is no final judgment in criminal action, the civil action can no longer be executed. So also according to this rule, uh, even the offended party is acquit from the criminal action, there is still have a civil action. So that means that the civil action can still proceed. The effect of the death of the effect of death of civil action. So the death of the accused after the arraignment and during the functory of the criminal action shall be extinguished. It can be extinguished. The court can be extinguished the civil liability arising from the delay. If the accused, and also according to this rule, if the accused die before the arraignment, the case shall be dismissed. That means the criminal action is dismissed, but the civil action can or is extinguished, or the civil action is continue. That's all for the Rule 111, Prosecution of Civil Action. Rule 112, Preliminary Investigation. Preliminary investigation is an inquiry or proceeding to determine whether there is a sufficient ground to engender a well-founded belief that the crime has been committed and the respondent is probably guilty. Also, preliminary investigation is required to be conducted before the filing of complaint or information. So, what are the penalties that are required to be conducted a preliminary investigation? So, if the required penalties that are needed to conducted a preliminary investigation are those penalties that at least 4 years, 2 months, and 1 day without regard to the fine. So if that are the penalties that are needed to be conducted a preliminary investigation. So if the penalties is only as 4 years, 2 months, and 1 day only, so there is no preliminary investigations are needed. So, who are the authorized to conduct a preliminary investigation? According to the section 2, officer authorized conducted a preliminary investigation. Under the section 2, these are the authorized by the law to conduct a preliminary investigation. First is the provincial and city's prosecutor under assistant. So, provincial and city's prosecutor, they are authorized to conduct a preliminary investigation. Municipal judge of the municipal and municipal circuit trial court. So, they are authorized also to conduct a preliminary investigation. National and regional prosecutor and other officers are maybe authorized to, or maybe authorized by the law. So, example of these are those officer or the law enforcement that are authorized to conduct a preliminary investigation. So, there are some procedure in conducting a preliminary investigation. So, one of the procedure is the complaint. The complainant shall state the address of the respondent and shall be accompanied by the affidavit, the complaint and his affidavit of the complainant and his witnesses. So that is one of the procedure of conducting a preliminary investigation. And there is also one of the procedure. Within 10 days after filing of complaint or information, the investigating officer shall either dismiss if he found no grounds to continue the investigation. So it means that if the officer during investigation, the investigating officer has found no grounds to continue the investigation, then the investigating officer may be dismissed the case. So when warrant of arrest may issue, so by the regional trial court, within 10 days of filing of complaint or information, the judge shall personally evaluate the resolution, immediately dismiss the case. The judge, if he found no grounds, then the judge may dismiss the case if he indents on record clearly failed the probable if there is no probable cause, and if the judge did not find any probable cause to file the case, then the judge will dismiss. And if the judge find the probable cause, then the judge shall issue a warrant of arrest. So that means if the judge find a probable cause to file a case, then of filing a case, then the judge will issue a warrant of arrest to arrest the respondent or the suspect. Rule 113 or arrest. So, definition of arrest: arrest is taking of person in custody in order that he or she may be bound to answer of the commission for the commission of an offense. So arrest, how made? So under the section 2, arrest is made by the actual restraint an actual restraint of a person to be arrested by his submission to the custody of the person of being arrested. So if in there is no in arresting a person, there is no violence or necessary force shall be bound in making of arrest. So during an arrest, so according to the section 2, there is no violence or necessary force needed. So there's no need to be using of violence. So duty of the arresting officer. So it shall be in the duty of the arresting officer executing the warrant of arrest to arrest and deliver the suspect to the nearest police station without necessary delay. So it means under the section 3, in making of arrest, so it's the duty of the arresting officer to deliver the suspect to the nearest police station without delay. So execution of warrant. The head of the office to sworn the warrant of arrest was delivered for execution shall the case of arrested extended within 10 days after the receipt. So under the section 4, so after the issuance of the warrant, so there is the officer have 10 days to execute the warrant of arrest. So the officer have 10 days to execute the warrant of arrest. So if the officer did not did not make or did not arrest the suspect within 10 days, then the officer may go to the judge where the warrant of arrest is issued. Then he will report there of the reason why the suspect did not arrest in 10 days. Then 10 days. So let's move to the section 5, arrest without a warrant. So in section 5, all officer or even a civilian can arrest without a warrant. So there is three instances that we can arrest a person without a warrant. So first is the in flagrante delicto or caught in the act. So as a police officer, if we, for example, Mr. A attempting to commit a crime, then actually committed, and during the commission of the crime, we actually saw the commission of the offense. So as a police officer or law enforcement, so we can arrest a person without a warrant. So second is the hot pursuit or personal knowledge. So we can arrest a person without warrant based on our personal knowledge that that person is the one who commit a crime. So and also escape prisoner. So if the convicted person escaped from the prison during his final judgment or where he is serving his sentence, so we can arrest that person without a warrant. Time of making an arrest. So we can arrest a person without at any day, at any time of the day and night. So that means we can arrest a person anytime that is according to the section 6 of rule 113. Next is rule 114 or bail. Bail is a security given for the release of a person in custody of the law furnished by him or bondsman to guarantee his appearance before or any court as required under the condition her in the specified. So also bail may be given in the form of corporate surety, property bond, cash deposit, or recognizance. So what is corporate surety? So corporate surety is a corporation. If the person has been arrested, if he have a company or any kind of company, so he can use that, or any corporation, he or she can use that as a bond for his temporary release. Next is the property bond. So if a person have a property just like car, land, he can use it as a bond for his temporary release, and also cash deposit. So he can pay the bill. What are the amount that he need to pay for his temporary release, so he can pay. And also our recognizance. So recognizance, it is a person to guarantee another person for his release. So Next is the no release or transfer except in a court or bill. So according to the section 3, no release or transfer except court order or bill. So if the person is convicted, uh, or is detained, if the person is detained, so he should not be released or transferred to another place if there is no court order or bill. So that means that person is cannot be released if there is no bill or court court order coming from the judge. So next is bail as a matter of right. So all person in custody shall be admitted to bail as a matter of right. So right with sufficient sureties or release in recognitions as prescribed by law or this law. So as a right of person, so we have the right to bail as our temporary release in custody. So when we can apply a bail, so before and after conviction of regional trial court, municipal trial court, and municipal circuit trial court. So that before and after conviction of that particular court, so that's the time that we can apply a bail or for our temporary release. Next is Rule 115 or right of the accused, right of accused. So here are some the rights of the accused. So first is to be presumed innocent until the contrary is proceed beyond reasonable doubt. So all person that are committed a crime, so they are all presumed to be innocent. So if there is no final judgment, so that person or that convicted person is innocent. To be informed of the nature of cause of the accusation against him. So the accused have the right that he should be informed what are the accusation against him or what are the cause of the accusation. So what that is a right, one of the right of the accused to be prosecute and defend in person and by counsel at at every stage of the proceeding, from the arraignment to the promulgated of the judgment. So one of the right of a convicted person or a person is to have a counsel to defend him. So that is one of the rights. So if the accused have no counsel, so the government will give him a counsel to defend himself at every trial of the court, from arraignment to the final judgment. One of the right also of the accused is to be testify as a witness on his own himself. So and to confront from being compelled as a witness against himself. And also one of the right of the accused is to have a speedy trial in par- in partial trial or public trial. So one of the rights of the accused is to have a speedy trial in partial trial and public trial. So and also one of the right of the accused is to appeal in all cases allowed in the particular described by the law. So if there is one of the right of the accused, if the final judgments are given, then the accused can appeal to the court to have another trial. So these are one of the right of the accused under the Rule 115. Rule 116, arraignment and plea. So arraignment and plea, how made? So under the section 1 of this rule, the accused must be arraigned before the court where the complaint or information was filed or assigned for trial. The arraignment must made in open court by the judge. So it means that a pre-trial should be made in a open court by the judge. So, rather, the accused must be present at the arraignment and must enter his plea. So that means during the arraignment, the accused must be present during the arraignment, and he must plead guilty or not guilty during the arraignment. Another is when the accused refuse to plead or makes a conditional plea. A plea of not guilty shall be entered for him. So that means if the accused refuse to plead guilty or not guilty, then the plea of not guilty will be entered for him. Another is when the accused plead guilty but present exculpatory evidence, his plea shall be distinguished or withdrawn, and a plea of not guilty shall be entered for him. So that means during the arraignment, if he plead guilty but he present uh, exculpatory evidence, but he plead guilty, so the during if he present exculpatory evidence, then a plea of not guilty will be entered for him, even he is enter a plea of guilty. Plea of guilty to a lesser offense. So according to this rule, if the accused is plea of guilty, there is a possible that his penalty will be lesser or will be lesser. But before he plea of guilty for a lesser an offense, he must be there is must be a consent from the offended party and the prosecutor, and be allowed by the by the trial court or by the trial court or the judge. So there is a possible that if he plead guilty to lesser an offense, he must be there must be a consent coming from the offended party. Withdrawal of provenant plea of guilty. So if the accused withdraw from plea of guilty to not guilty, so to make this at any time, to withdraw from guilty to not guilty, first is at any time before the judgment of convictions become final the court may permit an improvident plea of guilty to be withdrawn and be substituted by a plea of not guilty. So the accused can withdraw his plea of guilty to not guilty at any time before the final judgment. That means there is four. That means he can withdraw his plea of guilty before the final judgment before. So that means there is no final judgment already, so that the accused can withdraw his plea of guilty to, not guilty. So duty of the court to inform the accused of his right to counsel. So under the section 6 of this rule, it is the duty of the court to inform the accused when this happened before the arraignment. It is the duty to it is a duty of the court to inform the accused to have his counsel. But if if the accused have no counsel, then the court will assign one to the accused to defend him during the arraignment. That's all for the Rule 116, arraignment and plea. Now, next is motion to quash. So, time to motion to quash at any time before entering his plea. The accused may move to squash the complaint or information. So under the section 1, time to move to squash, the accused can at any time before entering his plea, so that means before he enters his plea, he should be, if they see that there is something on the complaint or information, then the accused or the defense can move to squash the complaint or information, but before entering his plea. So, form and content. So, the motion to squash shall be in writing, signed by the accused or his defense counsel. So, to make a motion to quash, so the motion to quash should be in writing, signed by the accused or the defense counsel, and shall distinctly specify its factual and legal grounds. So they should put what is the legal grounds to move to squash the complaint or information. Ground to motion to squash. So there are grounds to motion to squash. First is that's the fact charge is not constituted an offense. So that means if the fact that are put on the complaint or information does not constituted an offense that committed by the accused. Another is that the court trying to that the court trying the case has no jurisdiction over the offense charge. So that means if the court is trying the case that they have no jurisdiction to take over the case, then the accused or his defense can file a motion to quash to dismiss the case. Other is that the officer who filed information had no authority to do so. So if the officer filed a complaint or information and he is the one who conduct a preliminary investigation and he is the one who signed the complaint or information and he also the one who filed it to the court, then the accused or the defense can file a motion to quash. Another is that it does not conform substantially to the prescribed form. And another one is that the criminal action is liability has been extinguished. So if the complaint or information is that the criminal action of the accused is already has been extinguished, so that means the defense counsel and the accused can move to squash the case to dismiss the case. So that are some of the grounds to motion to squash. Next is the pre-trial or Rule 118 pre-trial. Pre-trial is conducted after the arraignment and within 30 days from the date of the court acquired jurisdiction over the person to the accused. So the pre-trial is conducted within 30 days after the arraignment. So this is considered during the pre-trial. First is a plea bargaining. During the trial, there is a plea bargaining, and also stipulation of fact, marking from identification of evidence of the parties, and another is waive of objectives to admissible of evidence. Another is modification of the order of trial if the accused admit the charger of court. Those are things that are considered during the pre-trial. Pre-trial order is there are some under of the pre-trial order after the first is after the pre-trial, means of parties, limits of trial, and control the course of the action. That's all for Rule 118 for pre-trial. Rule 109, trial. Trial means that it's a presentation of evidence by the prosecutor and the defense. So that means trial is the presentation of both parties, presentation of evidence both parties. So time to prepare for trial. After a plea of not guilty is entered, the accused shall be given a 15 days to prepare for trial. The trial shall commence within 30 days. So that means that after the accused plea of not guilty, he shall be given a 15 days to prepare for trial. These trials will be run into 30 days or 1 month. During the trial, the prosecution will present their evidence first. That means that the complainant is the first to give his testimony together with his witnesses in the court. So that means during the pre-trial, the prosecution is the first to present their evidence during the trial. And after the prosecution present their evidence and their witnesses, then the defense counsel will also present their evidence and witnesses after the prosecution. So there is also instances that there is a reverse trial where the defense will present their evidence first if they are state example, they state self-defense, defense of relative, or defense of stranger for his first defense in this case. So that means that the reverse trial will happen if the defense counsel state there that it is a self-defense or defense of relatives or defense of stranger. So the reverse trial will happen. So that means the defense counsel or the defense will present their first. The reverse trial means the defense will present their evidence first, and after that the prosecution will also present their evidence after the defense. So that is a reverse trial. And that's all. That's for the rule of 119 trial. Rule 120. Rule 120 or judgment. So judgment is an adjudication of the court by the court that the accused is guilty or not guilty. So of the guilty of the offense charged and the imposition on him. So that means that judgment, this is the judgment that saying that the accused is guilty or not guilty. So this is the time that the accused will receive his final judgment whether he is guilty or not guilty. So judgment for 2 or more offenses. So this is our under the section 3. When 2 or more offenses are charged into a single complaint or information, but the accused failed to object it, for example, the accused or the offense that are committed of the accused are 2 or more than 2, but he failed to he, he failed to object it, then the judge will be the court may be convict him of many offenses. Then the what will happen is the judge will convict him as many offenses based on the offense offense that are filed by the complainant or the prosecution. So what will happen is that the accused will receive many offenses based on an offense that charged against him in a single complaint or information. Next is Rule 101 or new trial or reconsideration. So, new trial or reconsideration can apply at any time before a judgment of conviction. So that means the new trial or consideration, they can apply it before trial. That means there is still no final judgment. The court may an motion of the accused, or it is own instance, but with the consent of the accused, so the prosecution can file a new trial or reconsideration with the consent of the accused. So that means they cannot file a new trial or reconsideration without the consent of the accused. So when we file a motion for a new trial, when there is a newly found evidence, so when there is a newly found evidence, we can file a motion to new trial, and also motion for reconsideration when there is an error of facts or error of law. So under the old rule, we cannot avail these two, the motion of new trial or motion of new reconsideration, but we can only choose one, either the motion of new trial or motion of reconsideration. But if denied, then we can appeal to the court. We can apply an appeal to the court. That is a old rule. In the new rule, if the motion of new trial or reconsideration are denied, the court will give you 15 days to appeal. But in the old rule, you are only given 15 days only, and if it's denied, there is is no another days to appeal. So the effect of granting a new trial or restoration is an equivalent of acquittal, because the court will grant a new trial and a new judgment to the accused. So that means if the if the court grant a new trial or consideration, it is an equivalent of acquittal, because the court will make another trial and another judgment to the convict or the accused. Last is the search and seizure. So search and seizure, these are a search warrant. So search warrant is an order in writing issued by the judge, issued in the name of the people of the Philippines, by the signed by the judge, and direct to the officer conducting him to search for a personal property described therein, and bring it before the court. So and search warrant is an order given by the judge direct to the law enforcement or the officer to conduct a search warrant to find a property based on what are written on the search warrant. So now search warrant are used by the police officer or any law enforcement to enter the specific place or house or building to find or confiscate based on what are written on the search warrant. So that's all for the rule 1. That's all for rule 126, search and seizure.